Some of the old wisdom is still good. Galen, for instance, as you know, Galen was the most famous physician of Roman times. He was a physician to an emperor back in 100 AD, and he came up with the four humors. He resurrected the four humors from centuries before in the Greeks. He was a Greek, by the way, who lived in Rome after studying in Alexandria for 5 years, which was unheard of. He did 10 years medical study, and he was a gladiator's doctor and got famous and then went to Rome. So anyway, at that point there were 3 humors, and he changed it to 4 humors: blood, phlegm, yellow bile, and black bile. And the thing about the humors, they all reside in the blood. And that's probably because if you take some blood and you put it in a glass and let it sit, it'll separate into these different levels, especially if you eat a lot of fat. You'll see a whole bunch of fat separate out of your blood sample. Anyway, of course, treating diseases back then was a thing that people did, and they did successfully, and we would look at it and say, well, how could they? They didn't know near what we know, no germ theory, etc. So they did the best they could. And Galen's methods lasted 1,500 years. 1,500 years, he was the expert on how to treat people with diseases. And here's his 3-step method for treating people with diseases. Number 1, first, treat the disease with diet. Think about that. Think about what happens when you get a disease and go to the hospital or the doctor. You don't get treated with diet first. Second, if treating it with diet isn't enough, continue treating it with diet and add drugs. Of course, drugs back then were extracts of different plants, and they did certain things. And maybe if someone couldn't keep things down and they were supposed to eat a certain kind of food that was gentle on them and they still couldn't, they could give them some herbium of blithering and it would calm their stomach and then they'd be better. The point is, when using drugs, continue to use diet also. And then as soon as they get better, back off on the drugs and continue with the diet, because people were just as sick from overindulgence back then as they are today, especially his clientele. He was the emperor's physician. They all had gout. Third, if diet doesn't do it and drugs don't do it, then surgery. Then surgery. And then pretty much throw out the drugs and diet if you're going to go for the surgery, maybe, in whatever case. And there you go. Today, I'm sorry to say, we don't treat heart disease first with diet, and then with drugs, and then with surgery. In fact, nobody talks about their heart doctor, do they? They talk about their heart surgeon. Eat all plants. No animal products at all. And use no oils in your cooking. Eat food in the whole form they come in with the fiber intact. And in return, eat all you like for the rest of your life.